And we're live.
What up, leaguers? Welcome to the spectacular Spoiler League. I'm the Pandan Superman, the mayor of Hype City, HazyRome, and as always, I'm joined by the Gotham Knight, the Prime Minister of Post-Production, DeepBoyce. And today, it's a glorious day, everybody, because we're here talking about the Avengers Infinity War trailer, the first one ever released to the public. There's been some behind-the-scenes trailers, or some scenes, some trailers shown behind the scenes that people haven't seen in the public, particularly at D23 earlier this year. But this is the first one ever to release to the public. DeepBoyce, the young kids say it all the time, man. It's lit right now.
Oh, man.
We're breaking down the look at I'm throwing on my headphones. My headphones go all time. Look, I'm hyped right now. We're talking about the top 5 moments. We're gonna break down this trailer. Top 5 moments from the trailer. We're gonna break it down, see what we can dissect from the trailer. But DeepBoyce, it's a glorious day, man. And that trailer looking lit, man. It's looking dope. It's looking dope, man.
Yeah, I'm still trying to, rub out the boogers out of my eyes right now. I can't believe that this day is here. I can't believe that they dropped it. I can't believe how awesome it was. I can't believe that I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for how amazing this trailer was. I wasn't ready either, man. I wasn't ready. and May just seems like an eternity away. Should I say it seems like it's in an infinity distance from us.
That didn't
right
work
now.
The way you wanted it to work. I just, I'm your friend, so I'm holding it down for you. I'm gonna let you know. It didn't work how you wanted it to work, but
you know what did
I
work?
respect it.
You know what did work? This trailer did.
Indeed. Let's start off with the first thing we noticed. Let's call it number 1. We're not going like top 5 as in, from 5 to 1. Like this is the biggest moment. We're just counting, all the moments we've seen. So the first thing, number 1, I mean, there seems to be some type of New York confrontation, DeepBoyce. So, I mean, we see some type of big ass, ring up here in New York City. We're thinking it might be some sort of portal, but the people that we see in New York, the Avengers that we see in New York, or the Marvel characters we see in New York, we see Spider-Man, right? 100% showing off them Spidey senses, man.
Yeah.
With the tingling, you see his arm hairs raised, and once again, we've actually seen the trailer that came out at D23. We saw that trailer, so like we know that the Spidey sense is confirmed, but we actually saw the hairs on his arm raise up, and it was glorious, man. We also saw Doctor Strange. We saw Hulk. We saw Tony Stark, and Wong, Doctor Strange's companion, his buddy, in New York, and it seems like something is gonna go down in New York City. What do you think about that, boys?
What's gonna go down exactly? It's tough to say, but honestly, it really does seem like Thanos probably makes his first move in New York. No games. I mean, this is the Marvel headquarters right now. It's the center of the Marvel universe, New York. Like you said, you see the big ring. Whatever that contraption is, we don't know what it is exactly, but it seems like Spider-Man on a school trip. He's sitting in the cheese bus, and he sees.
He could be going to school.
He could be going to school, which is odd. I mean, I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Maybe he's taking a break from being Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's trying to live a little bit of a normal life, but this is like the worst day to maybe do that. This is an alien invasion in New York.
Can't blame the guy for going to school, man.
True.
That's what he's supposed to do.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
He's keeping, last we left off with him in Homecoming, he's keeping his feet on the ground. But it seems like there is some sort of confrontation, and it seems like Doctor Strange, Tony Stark, Wong, and Spider-Man, and Hulk, with Bruce Banner, seemed like he fell through the Sanctum Sanctorum. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
But,
at the very least, I mean, it would make sense, at least for Thanos, to maybe see what's up with Doctor Strange, because as we know, Doctor Strange has the Eye of Agamotto, however you pronounce it, which is the time gem. So that is at least the most likely reason why he's in New York.
Right.
And we don't know of any other heroes that are maybe there that have, gems of importance.
Exactly. And we're gonna get into like the gems and stuff as we proceed through the 5 things that we noticed in this video. But keep in mind who was there at New York, because it's gonna play into some other theories we might have as we proceed through the video. But DeepBoyce, man, let's head to number 2, which is the biggest confrontation shown in the trailer. I mean, the battle that takes place at Wakanda, man. I mean, listen, man, get your forces together. It's going down in Wakanda, man. I mean, we saw a number of people present as we dissected the trailer, as we went through the trailer. So I'm going to run through some of those people. Obviously, we know Black Panther's there. We know that T'Challa is there. We know he's rallying the forces. Mm-hmm. We know that he's saying, get your defenses up. We know that he said, get that man a shield, and we're thinking that he's talking about Cap, even though we don't see Cap with the shield in the scenes. But, I mean, who else do we see there, man? Who's some of the dope people that we see in that scene, man?
Yeah, I mean, we see the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, Steve Rogers' best friend, his right-hand man. We see Black Widow with a whole new getup, or at least a new hair dye. She's, sporting the blonde look. We see Bruce Banner, the Hulk, which is interesting in terms of the timeline of the events of the movie, because as we saw earlier, he crash landed in New York. He crash landed in the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is in New York, but it's also, if you saw Doctor Strange, basically like a locale for portals to like almost anywhere. I mean, Doctor Strange could just walk wherever the hell he wants. Right. So maybe that's how he ended up there in the first place. But regardless, they needed the Hulk. I mean, if you saw the battle in the trailer, things were going down. There were a lot of alien foreign troops going after Wakanda. But we also saw, I believe, Okoye. One of the Dora Milaje. We also saw Sam Wilson, the Falcon.
Yep.
And someone in the War Machine suit, iron suit. We don't know if it's Rhodey. It most likely will be. Maybe he made a full recovery. Yeah.
I think it's Rhodey. Honestly, Don Cheadle's confirmed for the movie. He also confirmed earlier this year that War Machine was back. I mean, listen, man, they could always be pulling a swerve on us. I mean, we know how these comic book movies go. But I think it's Don Cheadle straight up in the War Machine suit. Obviously, you said Falcon is there as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, Bucky, freaking Winter Soldier's there. He's got his arm back. Wakanda hooked him up, tricked my man out. We also see Cap, who is most likely rocking the Nomad persona. So, I mean, it's been all over the news. So if you haven't been paying attention, when Cap, there's a point in the comics when Cap, tosses aside the Captain America mantle, the identity, and, he sort of becomes this hero known as Nomad. Now, his Nomad costume in the comics is super bombastic and it's, over the top, super flamboyant. But in this, it seems like the costume is really just, a very tattered version of his Captain America suit with the star ripped off and things like that. But DeepBoyce pointed this out to me. Apparently, Cap is wearing some gauntlets, right? He's wearing something on his hands in that scene, that that money shot we see at the end of the trailer. Everybody's sort of like running, into battle. He's wearing some like gauntlets or something like that, right?
Yeah, they look very Black Panther suit-esque, if that makes any sense. I mean, maybe T'Challa hooked him up with something, because the suit that he's using, it's not the one from Civil War, Black Panther.
Right.
And it might be the one from the Black Panther movie. Obviously, we don't see like any purple on it. And we also know that his sister Shuri is like Tony Stark levels, if not a little bit more, I guess, intelligent and inventive and more of a genius when it comes to technological things. So maybe, she hooked Captain America up because he doesn't have his shield. As we said in the trailer, T'Challa's like, yo, if we stand any chance, give this man his shield. Because there's no way. Happen, they're gonna wait
for that as a payoff in the movie, but it's gotta happen.
They're gonna give him his shield at some point, but for the time being, he's got what seems to be a new suit or slightly different suit, and he's got like those gauntlets there. I put it up on the screenshot. It's a little tough to see, but you can see they're basically black, and I don't know, they have like little daggers at the knuckles.
Yeah, I'm not sure what suit he's using, because part of me feels like that might be a suit that he had maybe prior, and he just wore it and sort of like, took off some of the identifying Captain America pieces off of it. Mm-hmm. Or it could be just the suit just got super worn down after use. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know which is which, but I want to move over to also, Black Widow and Hulk in the scene on Wakanda. Yeah. So there's a scene in the trailer where we see Bruce Banner smiling at somebody. And, in that part of the trailer, you actually see someone standing there. It looks like Bruce Banner is talking to somebody or smiling at somebody. Now, you're led to believe when the trailer cuts that it is Black Widow. I do actually believe that it is Black Widow that he's looking at. Yes. Because if you look at her arm, if you look at the detailing on the person standing there, the arm, it looks like Black Widow's outfit. It looks like that's what that's the gear that she's rocking later on in the trailer. So when the next scene, you actually see Black Widow turn around and smile at somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that is Bruce Banner, but they do get to reunite. In that same scene, you also see the Hulkbuster arm just randomly laying there. I don't know what's good with that.
Yeah.
But it seems like that takes place before the battle, before everything, goes to shite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the Hulkbuster armor is there. So most likely, Tony Stark is there at the sun capacity. Obviously, right. Like in the comics, sometimes people other than Tony Stark or James Rhodes are in those suits of armor, so we don't know exactly. And, it could be like a nice little cool Easter eggs type of moment. But, like we said, Bruce Banner was in New York. He's also in Wakanda. We don't know where the events lead. It could be that Tony Stark is also kind of, I guess, traveling and hopping from locale to locale. Because, again, this is a worldwide... Well, this is a galaxy threat, but it seems like this movie's focused on Earth being invaded by Thanos and the Black Order.
Right. So, we focused on New York. We focused on the battle that takes place in Wakanda. Let's focus on the third thing, which is another locale that's sort of a question mark. Mm-hmm. It's sort of...
this one's interesting.
It sort of looks like a red planet. I mean, the immediate thought when you see something like that is the planet Mars.
Yeah.
But, boys, you actually came up with an interesting theory as to what it is. And we did a little bit of research. We turned on our thinking caps over here, and we went over to NASA and we started looking at some images to sort of figure out where this is. It's the same setting that we see Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. We're gonna get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. It's also the same scene where we see Thanos punch Iron Man. We see Thanos choke Spider-Man like he literally squashes Spider-Man like a bug. But where is this planet? Where is this area? Where do we think it is that this is taking place?
Yeah, we were, as you said, we were kind of thinking through it. And the idea that we came up with is that this may be Thanos' home planet of Titan. There's a reason they call him the Mad Titan, because him and his people come from the moon Titan. There's a moon of Saturn, I believe. Yeah, it's called Titan, and that's where him and the rest of those like super powerful beings reside after they left Earth a long time ago. And we weren't quite sure because we were thinking either this is just a random place where they're just, they need a space to just have open area where there aren't casualties and they could just go ham and just use all their powers. So it could be just a random locale, or it could be a place of some significance. And really the first place that came to mind is some place that's significant to Thanos, which is Titan. We know, like you said, we looked up images of Titan because NASA did have a probe that landed on that moon 10 years ago, and the planet looks reddish. It looks rather similar to what they're showing.
Well, the moon looks reddish.
The moon looks reddish. It looks rather reddish, and it could be in terms of I guess the importance to the themes or the symbolism of the movie. Maybe they that's the seat of Thanos's power, or maybe since it's the Milky Way galaxy, it's close to Earth. Maybe that's where he wants to kind of come back. He wants to come back home and reshape the moon Titan to his liking as the center of his new empire or galactic whatever he leaves left after he destroys everything. And obviously in the comics, Thanos just kind of did away with everyone. All his own mom, his parents, he destroyed everything. So maybe the heroes hop on a portal to get to Titan, and they see this is what could happen to Earth if we don't defeat this guy Thanos, because this is his home and he didn't even give a damn and he just absolutely destroyed it. Maybe to kind of add a sense of bleakness, so to speak.
Yeah, I actually wanted to make a point here, and looking at the Milky Way galaxy and the idea that, I mean, Titan is relatively close to Earth when you consider like all the adventures the Guardians of the Galaxy had in their movie. I mean, Titan is relatively close to Earth, and if you look at the planet, it looks like there's a lot of ruins on that planet. Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe Thanos comes back to this planet. Maybe it is the place, as you said, maybe years ago, like however long ago, that used to be his home, or I keep saying planet, his home moon, or his home locale, and maybe he's responsible for tearing it to ruin. Maybe he comes back there to sort of, have it as his base, maybe to remind him of his origins and the destruction, the power that he has. I don't know, but I do know that there's a scene actually, and this is sort of tied into the gems, and we're gonna get into that, which I guess we could segue into that. At number 4, we're gonna talk about the gems in Thanos' possession. Number 3, obviously, was the planet or the moon Titan. Number 4, guys, is Thanos' gems and the gems Thanos has in his possession. So on this moon that we think is Titan, on this location that we think is Titan, he actually comes out of a portal, okay, to when he arrives there, and it definitely, I think that is the space gem that he uses to open up this portal. Now that ties into something we saw at a different point in the trailer, which is Loki seemingly handing the Tesseract to somebody. Now the Tesseract is the space gem, or the space gem is contained within the Tesseract. We've seen with all these Infinity Stones that there's usually some type of encasement around said Infinity Stones. Like, for example, Loki's staff, right? In the first Avengers movie, we know that in that staff was the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone is yellow. That is the stone embedded in Vision's head. But Thanos, if you look at his gauntlet, he has 2 gems specifically in his gauntlet, right? Mm-hmm. One is a blue one is a purple one. So I think that blue one is the space gem. I think that Loki gives Thanos the Tesseract and the space gem, because if you remember, Loki actually got the Tesseract got the staff, which had the mind gem, from Thanos. Thanos gave that to him for Avengers in the Avengers movie. He wanted Loki to conquer the planet for him. So maybe as a peace offering, Loki gives him the Tesseract. Now, DeepBoyce, we both seen Thor Ragnarok. That seems to potentially tie into the events of Thor Ragnarok, where at the end credit scene, we see a ship appear in front of, and spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, big spoilers at this point.
Big spoilers, a huge spoiler, okay? The planet of Asgard has been destroyed. It's blown up completely. Yeah. Thor, Loki, they're in sort of a refugee ship with all of the Asgardians who survived. At the end credit scene, we see a ship appear in front of this refugee ship, and many of us believe, me and DeepBoyce especially, believe that is Thanos' ship. Yeah. So I believe Thanos attacks Thor, Loki, and the surviving Asgardians on that ship, and I believe Loki, as a peace offering, subsequently gives him the Tesseract to maybe even beg for mercy. I mean, this is Loki we're talking about. This is something that Loki does. True. So I think this is like part of his character. I think he gives that Tesseract to Thanos. DeepBoyce just showed a picture of some people laying on the ground. I think you said to me that you think those might be the Asgardians on that refugee ship. Yeah. At the mercy of Thanos, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, just from the way that they're dressed, they definitely just don't seem like like humans or anyone from this time period. Right, so it's most likely that's when Thanos kind of comes in, wrecks the ship, kills pretty much everybody, because I guess, again, spoilers for Thor Ragnarok and a little bit of insight on the trailer that they showed at the Disney conference that they didn't show in this trailer. But D23, the beginning of that trailer shows the Guardians warping into this area in space. The area is just like debris and bodies everywhere. And then out of nowhere, Thor Odin's son smacks into the windshield and they bring him on board. And then he kind of wakes up, which you sort of see in this one, but they don't put it in a way for you to really tell that, how Thor meets with the Guardians, how he gets on there. It seems that even if Loki offers Thanos just the Tesseract as an act of mercy, just like, stop, you're killing everybody, just take this and leave. It seems like Thanos just says thanks and just blows everything up, regardless. Right. Because the Asgardians, by the time Infinity War starts, they're all floating in space. Like, everybody's pretty much dead. Maybe Loki survived. Thor definitely survives because Thor is Thor. But Thanos, he's not playing games.
Yeah, maybe Loki dies. That would be. Yeah. I mean, that would add some consequence to the situation. Maybe Loki gets killed by Thanos too.
I've seen some speculation of that online, where people are saying, they're worried because he's a favorite of the MCU fans. Right.
Now, we're sort of bouncing around between inserting some of the D23 trailer stuff into this new trailer that we've seen. Mm-hmm. Now, another thing I want to bring up, and this sort of has to tie back into the previous point about this Moon Titan, right? So in the D23 trailer, right, the people that we see on the planet fighting Thanos, okay, we see Iron Man, we see Spider-Man, we also see Doctor Strange, right? 3 of the people from that New York battle scene, or the New York confrontation that we mentioned, at the beginning of this of the video, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 4th person that we see is actually Peter Quill. In that
Yes.
D23 trailer, Peter Quill is fighting alongside the three people that we just mentioned on that planet, on that same or moon that we believe to be is Titan. So I'm thinking that it's possible that the Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, and the three heroes that we mentioned actually end up meeting with Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Iron Man on the planet, on the Titan surface, and they confront Thanos. Now, I'm not sure if this is something where Thanos brings them there, or they maybe try to organize a preemptive strike on Thanos. I'm not sure what that is, but I think that it's possible that that's where the Guardians sort of meet up with some of the Avengers in the trailer.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But to continue on talking about some of the gems
gems
in Thanos' possession, right? He also has, as I mentioned, a purple gem on his gauntlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, I believe, is the power gem. Okay, the power gem was last seen in possession by the Nova Corps at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. DeepBoyce, it might be the Nova Corps might get wrecked, bro.
Yeah, they probably. They probably get absolutely destroyed. It's almost like a running joke with the Nova Corps. Every 5 years, they get absolutely decimated. Thanos probably put the work on them, and who knows? Maybe this is setting the stage for a future Nova movie. But like you said, he has the purple gem, which is the power gem. The Nova Corps has it. The Guardians. That was in Guardians 1 a while back, and the Guardians basically left it with the Nova Corps after they defeated Ronan the Accuser, and he probably made his way on Xandar. Xandar's probably no more. And
be surprised.
I'd be surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't really show that in the movie. They just just kind of a bit of a footnote. But
I definitely want to see Thanos body some people though. So
yeah, that would be.
If they show that, I won't be mad.
That would be a great opening. And something that, speaking of the gems that we do see in this trailer, is Vision's gem.
Right.
Because basically, Vision's a synthesoid who was made with, I believe it's the reality gem? No, the mind gem. The mind gem is the yellow one.
Yeah.
Yes, which is on his forehead. And in the trailer, you see him not only, get attacked by who we think is Corvus Glaive with another type of staff, and they're basically just kind of prying the mind gem out of his forehead, which is it's located. But in the trailer, we also see him in a more human form, with a glowing yellow spot on his forehead, which probably leads us to believe that they took the gem as well from him, and somehow he maybe reverted into a human being, or maybe that's just the mind gem at play. Maybe Thanos is tricking people's minds and messing around with their sense of perception and reality. Because again, maybe that kind of plays into part with the fact that Scarlet Witch, that's kind of her powers as well, kind of messing around with reality, and maybe that's a scene or a theme that they're going with in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this about you brought up Corvus Glaive.
Yeah.
The children of Thanos, they're basically the people that Thanos sends to do his bidding to help him squash out his competition and subsequently obtain the gems that he needs. So Corvus Glaive, he's sort of his right-hand man, and he has a staff that is reminiscent of the staff we see being used to pry out the Mind Stone out of Vision's head. Mm-hmm. Next to him, we also see another staff in that picture, and I believe that staff is Proxima Midnight's staff. Okay, so she's the second of the children of Thanos. Proxima Midnight, traditionally speaking, is actually the wife of Corvus Glaive. I'm not sure if they're gonna do that in the movies, but they're definitely together. Proxima Midnight, we actually see at some point in the trailer, we actually see a staff being thrown at Captain America. I believe, and DeepBoyce and I believe, that this is actually Proxima Midnight. There's a couple of shots where we get to see this person's face. Proxima Midnight is the only woman or female alien in the Children of Thanos group. So I believe that is Proxima Midnight throwing the staff or scepter at Captain America or Nomad, whatever he's going by, and he catches it in midair. I also believe that it's possible that Black Widow may be using that staff to stab Proxima Midnight in that same scene. So I actually believe that warehouse scene or wherever that location is, where Vision ends up losing his Mind Stone, I actually think Cap, Black Widow, and Scarlet Witch are there as well. The scenery and the moments in which we see those characters, it does seem to be in sort of a similar locale. And three of those people, right? Cap, Widow, Scarlet Witch, they're on the run. Because as of Captain America Civil War, they're fugitives.
Yes.
And Vision is tied to Scarlet Witch in terms of the budding relationship. He cares very much for her. She cares for him. So it's possible that they're all together, and that's where we see Vision lose the Mind Gem. Now, the other two members of the Children of Thanos is sort of one of them is sort of a brute. He goes by the name Cull Obsidian. In the comics, his name is actually Black Dwarf.
Yeah.
But they changed it to Cull Obsidian for the movie. I think it fits. And the third person, I don't remember, or the fourth person, I don't remember who the fourth person is.
Ebony Maw.
Ebony Maw, thank you very much.
That's he's probably the brains of the operation, given that he's kind of small and skinny. So he's probably like some sort of sadistic scientist or doctor or something like that.
Exactly. So, we know that Thanos, at the very least, they're gonna get the mind gem for him. We know that, in the images that we see in the trailer, we know that Thanos has the Power Stone, and we know that he gets his hands on the Space Stone, the Tesseract. So the gems that he needs to get that are left are the Reality Stone, right? So the Reality Stone, I believe we last saw that left with the Collector.
Yes.
I believe that at the end of the Dark
the Aether.
World, the Aether, right?
Yeah.
The end of the Dark World, the Warriors 3 brought that to the Collector. So it's possible. I'm not sure why Thanos would have the Power Stone. Well, I guess the Power Stone wasn't with the Collector. It was actually with the Nova Corps. So scratch that. But he still has to get the Reality Stone. He still needs to get the Time Stone, which is in the Eye of Agamotto that Doctor Strange has. And he still needs the Soul Stone, which we actually, officially, we haven't seen it yet. I don't think we've seen the Soul Stone. I thought maybe we got a peek of it in Odin's Vault in Thor Ragnarok. I thought there's a scene where Hela walks by the vault and she comments on something. It looks very mysterious. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be the Soul Stone or something that contains the Soul Stone.
Yeah, but there are rumors that it might show up in Black Panther. Maybe that would make sense. That's a way that Black Panther is able to commune with his ancestors, possibly.
Oh,
if you see that scene, the scene in the Black Panther trailer where he's like in obviously savannah, and there's a purple sky, and he walks by a tree with a couple of Black Panthers laying on the tree. That's possible. Those are his ancestors, the spirits of his ancestors, because the soul gem is basically just his own little alternate reality that traps people's souls in.
I went into that in depth in a trailer analysis video for Black Panther. I'll put that as a card in this video, and I'll also put that at the end of this video. You guys can check it out. So at this point, we can confirm based on this trailer that Thanos most likely has at least 3 of the gems required. Now, in the comics, and I think this is what Infinity War is somewhat loosely based on, the precursor to the actual Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity War saga is a saga called Thanos Quest. In this quest, or in this comic series, Thanos is assembling the gems, and he decimates everyone in his path using trickery, using power, using deception. And I think that this movie is very much going to integrate some of those elements of Thanos Quest. We're going to see Thanos straight up decimate people, and we're going to see him not just decimate people, but I think he's going to be tactful in how he accomplishes his goals. He will have all the gems in this movie. I very much believe that, and we have some theories that we're not going to talk about here, but we have some theories on what he might do when he has the gems in his possession. But DeepBoyce, any more comments on the gems and all that? Because that's sort of the biggest point before we move on to our final point here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we covered most of it. And like you said, we have a we feel that Thanos by the end of this movie is going to have all of them. If not, he's probably going to need like one more or something. We'll see what happens in this movie when it ends and what will be for Avengers 4. But yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Right, man. Right. If you're enjoying this video, by the way, feel free to drop a like on this video. If you're in the chat right now, this is a live stream. Drop a like on this video. We greatly appreciate it. DeepBoyce, final point. Let's talk about the dialogue that we hear in the film. Okay, so I'm gonna read off some of the lines, and I'm gonna say who says these lines And we're just gonna talk about the general feeling that this trailer is meant to give, and maybe some themes that will be explored in Infinity War. So to start off the trailer, we hear there was an idea. That's Nick Fury saying that, alluding to the Avengers, the first Avengers movie, right?
Yeah.
To bring together a group of remarkable people. That line is from Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jarvis continues, or Vision, I guess, is the person that he is now.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, to see if we could become something more.
Mm-hmm.
Thor continues saying, so when they needed us, we could fight the battles. And then Black Widow says that they never could. Okay? Let's dissect that first before we move on to some of the next quotes. That is pretty much a summary of the Avengers, the Avengers film. Okay,
yeah.
Like everything that's come before this point and the Avengers assembling.
Yes,
that is your interlude. That is the summary that you need before this movie, essentially, right?
Yeah, coming full circle, honestly,
right.
And in a way, it's symbolic of the entirety of the MCU.
Right.
I mean, in a literal sense, and kind of a greater sense.
Yeah.
Just this idea started off with Iron Man. It was an idea.
Right.
And Kevin Feige's like, hey, maybe we could do something that they never could.
Right.
As corny as that sounds, but I mean, honestly, it was quite a feat. It's quite a feat to get these superheroes together. It's going to be quite a feat to defeat Thanos. And in real life, in actuality, it was quite a feat. No one has been able to do this. And companies have tried to do this whole connected universe, and no one's been able to really even start. And Thanos, but Marvel is about to complete it. This whole process, honestly, and give everyone shine, give everyone play, and this is going to be the story of these heroes, facing their greatest challenge to see if the Avengers Initiative is actually successful.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because really and truly, while they've come together to fight a few, big threats, you could argue that the Avengers really haven't really become the Avengers yet. This might be the time where the Avengers truly become that comic book version of the Avengers and stand for everything that I guess Nick Fury envisioned in the first place, and Tony Stark kind of had in mind, and the values that Captain America always had, when he went through everything he did back in the Second World War, and really created. I guess a zeitgeist for what it is to be a traditional hero in Marvel.
Right. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting from a nostalgia perspective that they chose Nick Fury, Stark, and while it is Vision who has that identity now, or that's the identity of Paul Bettany's character now, it actually is Jarvis who, along with Stark, sort of kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So to have Fury, Stark, the voice of Jarvis, Thor, and Black Widow, those are some of the first heroes that we saw, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at the movies that came out, these are some of the characters that first sort of became the face of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. Let's move on to another piece of dialogue that comes from Thanos. And this is my favorite piece of dialogue from the trailer, man. So he says, in time, you will know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fall all the same. Dread it, run from it. Destiny still arrives. DeepBoyce, man, talk to me. That's some ominous stuff, man. Josh Brolin, by the way, sounds great as Thanos. Also, Thanos looks great.
Yes.
He looks a lot more human. You can see the details on his, not human, but he looks more like a being, like an actual living being. Got more detailing on his face. But talk to me about Thanos, man. What do you get from that line, man?
He's not playing games. Obviously, we've said this before. He's not playing games. And, like you said, we'll have a discussion in the future about what it is that Thanos really wants. But I'm really digging, obviously, we'll have to wait till the movie comes out. But already, I feel like this is one of my favorite versions of Thanos. Because there's just something grounded about this version of the character. Where he's not grandstanding, and he's not talking about, I'm going to end everything. I'm going to destroy everything. He's just being very clear and very direct. Listen, you guys have been having your fun, playing your little fantasies and everything, but there's a bigger picture here. There's a destiny. There's you cannot resist the hands of fate, and this is what's about to happen. And you guys just gotta have to deal with it. Either get out the way or get in line. One of the two.
I found it interesting that he said, "In time, you'll know what it's like to lose," which implies that maybe Thanos lost something as
Yeah,
well. And that sort of ties into what we saw on where we believe is Titan, his home, his home, it being decimated. I mean, in the comics, Thanos sort of laid waste to some of the people on his home, but I think that maybe, I mean, it's possible that maybe Thanos lost something here and something he had something taken from him. Maybe it wasn't he who ravaged Titan. Maybe someone else did.
yeah.
And he goes back. As I said earlier in the video, or alluded to earlier in the video, he goes back to Titan to sort of remember what he's lost and remember what drives him and remember why he's doing this. Because we
Yeah.
still don't know what the motive for Thanos is. We know in the
Yeah.
comics he's trying to impress the physical embodiment of death.
Mm-hmm.
That may or may not play into Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
It seems a little bit, I don't want to say shallow, but it seems shallow. If that becomes like the crux of the
So it's a
the issue
little,
with
it's a little
Thanos.
corny. It's a little tough to kind of translate onto the silver screen.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, there are theories that maybe Hela replaces death, like the embodiment of death, in the comics as Thanos' love interest. Honestly,
Right.
since
She's
we're
the
kind
goddess of death,
she's
so-
a goddess of death, that she's extremely powerful. I mean, honestly, who else would you see side by side with Thanos? I mean, she was put in the work in Thor Ragnarok. But now that we're talking about it, not to get too much into that other discussion, but just I guess a quick hypothesis as to what is the deal with Thanos.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of alluding to this idea that, see, here on Earth, like, we have a lot afforded to us, but we're very self-centered. Like, we think the center of our universe is Earth. And maybe Thanos, like, again, in line with the fact that he's maybe lost something, if that's what they're playing at, maybe Thanos, again, sees this bigger picture. He sees just the chaos and how enormous an expanse the universe is and how just insignificant Earth is, or beings are, or life is, and he wants to get the Infinity Gauntlet to really try and find some sort of order, to try and shape things in his own vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he just thinks that, killing billions of lives is just, the eggs that have to be cracked for this omelet that he's trying to make.
Right. I mean, that's really, that sort of falls in line with the character that Thanos is, even in the comics. He's somebody who sees the bigger picture, and he very much believes that sometimes the way mortals think, or the way humans think, is sort of futile. You know what I'm saying? Futile and sort of insignificant. And I think Thanos is going to be one of those characters who sees the big picture. I mean, we heard in the in the first trailer that we saw at D23, the one that came out of D23. I mean, this guy believes he's reshaping the universe, and he sees it. He thinks that he's shaping it in his image, and I think that's interesting. Like, he thinks that the universe is better off this way, and that sort of speaks volumes about his character without knowing too much about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I guess it's in stark contrast to what the heroes stand for. If you're kind of juxtaposing these two lines, or these two phrases, where the heroes are talking about exceptionalism. They're talking about, despite all odds, surpassing and becoming greater than the sum of your parts. Coming together for a greater good. Meanwhile, on the other end of things, Thanos is like, that's silly nonsense. Like, there's a greater purpose in this universe. Like, there's order. There's there's a greater vision. And just like, I guess, totalitarianism versus individualism, not to get too deep into it, but that's kind of what the Marvel heroes stand for. They inspire the self, they inspire the individual, that shows them that you can be great, while Thanos is thinking that you're not great, no one cares, I'm great. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make greatness.
Right. And I'm not gonna. He knows what his destiny is, or believes he knows what his destiny is, and I think we're gonna see him crush some people, man. I mean, the final line of dialogue that I want to just bring up real quick is Black Panther saying, "Evacuate the city, engage all defenses, and get this man a shield."
Yeah.
I mean, if we see Captain America sort of retake that mantle, I mean, as we said, we think he's, most people are hypothesizing that he's Nomad at this point, or that's the mantle that he has. Him getting his shield back and just sort of maybe even taking the lead at the forefront of the Avengers, like we know him to be. I mean, we see at the Battle of Wakanda, he's one of the people at the center of this. At the center, leading the charge, right next to T'Challa and Black Widow, Okoye, Winter Soldier, Hulk, War Machine, and Falcon. So I mean, talk to me about Captain America and I guess where he lies in all of this, man, and what is his role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, again, his backstory is he was a chump. He was a nobody.
Right.
And yeah, by a bit of a freak accident, he became Captain America. But it's not the super soldier serum that makes Captain America exceptional. It's his heart and his love for everyone. You know, his duty to do good. And obviously Thanos he could single-handedly, I think, defeat the Avengers even without the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, he's a beast. But to see that maybe, like you're saying, maybe it does mean more than what it seems on the surface, with Black Panther saying, listen, do this, do that, but most importantly, get this man his shield.
Right.
We need this man in the front, and we need that symbol, because we need as much hope as we possibly can, and this man symbolizes hope.
Yeah.
I mean, one-on-one fight, he's probably gonna get murked. He probably knows that himself, but that doesn't mean that we can't try. That doesn't mean that we should just lay on our backs and let that happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
And obviously, you see Iron Man get smacked up.
Yeah, and maybe he got bodied by Thanos, and it was funny because Thanos didn't even punch him with the hand that had the gauntlet. He punched him with the other.
Yeah, and Iron Man is usually the opposite of Captain America. He's usually like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, we're just people. But even he's stepping up, and he's seeing the greater good. Spider-Man, he might end up in the ICU after this. Out of the MCU into the ICU, he gets murked up as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, Captain America is the one character that all these heroes look up to.
Right.
So,
speaking of Spider-Man, though, the Iron Spidey suit, that's best thing.
Oh,
okay,
man.
Looks phenomenal in live action.
The reveal of that in Homecoming, one of the best moments in all of Marvel.
Yeah, I marked out hard when I saw that.
Amazing.
Man. I marked out hard, man. I mean, it's also worth noting that it's minor detail, but I noticed that the eyes can actually they glow, but there's actually times where they don't glow, and there's actually a point in the trailer where they actually activate and start glowing. But I mean, that's it for a top 5 breakdown, guys. We are not done talking about Avengers Infinity War. You will see many more videos about Avengers Infinity War, especially leading up to May, especially as more things drop, especially as we find out more information about this epic movie that's coming. So that being said, everybody, if you haven't already, first of all, drop a like on this video. If you're watching the live stream, if you're watching this video and you've enjoyed it up to this point, please drop a like on this video to help this video get out there. Also, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to the Spectacular Spoiler League, and turn on notifications by hitting that little bell icon right next to that subscribe button, so you could be up to date with the latest and greatest coming from the Spectacular Spoiler League. DeepBoyce and HazyRome, we're getting out of here. We're getting out of all the spoilers. We're going to watch that trailer literally about 50 million more times until we've just had enough of it. But, guys, you will hear more from us about Avengers. This is not the end.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not the end. We'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for checking the video. It's much love. We all hype. There's all love right now because it's Infinity War season, baby. Okay, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.